Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I went to sit down to make this video for you, and Jerry was stealing the chair. So I took that as a sign that he thought maybe it was time to say hello again. He's become quite the little camera hound, aren't you, buddy? Okay, there's your Jerry moment. He's adorable. Yes, he is. For any new subscribers to this channel, Jerry is part Maine Coon. He is a three-legged rescue. He looks like he's very fat, but he's actually quite skinny, but he has this incredible coat. We have 3 other rescue cats in our house, bye cats, and 2 dogs. It's just sometimes how come you hear funny noises. Okay. So that was our moment, and I tell you what, we really need that moment, right? Honest to God, that every day the numbers get more scary, the news gets bad, and you kind of don't know what to do with yourself or where to turn anymore. And and there is frustration, right? Because things are not getting done the way they should be getting done. People are not reacting as if this is actually serious and should be taken seriously. There's just a lot of energy and emotions kind of all over the place. People are saying things that you listen to them and you just shake your head and say, what planet have you been on for the last couple of weeks? So what I wanted to do today, I thought I would do something just a little bit different. I'm going to do like a 4-card spread, and I'm going to work my way through a list of people. Okay, so here we go. Come on down, because I got a bunch of questions today. Okay, so the first one we're going to take a look at is Governor Cuomo. Let's see. New York's governor, New York's governor, New York's governor. Yep, he's dealing with a really big disaster there. But you know what? Look at this. He's going to come out of it okay, right? He's going to come out almost in an exalted position. I would not be at all surprised if he does not end up in a really significant place within the next administration. His strength, his wisdom, his calmness and clarity are bringing so much comfort not only to the people of New York, but the people of the country, of your country, because he really feels like he is one of the few consistent places where you can get calm, rational, insightful information. And he is charging ahead like a warrior. Make no mistake, he is not going to put up with a whole heck of a lot of crap from a whole bunch of people. And he really is incredibly focused. And ultimately, you know what? Ultimately, look at this. He's going to be okay, and New York is going to be okay. And I'm not for a second suggesting that they are not going to take a massive hit, because they're right in the middle of a massive hit. So you can't say, oh, well, it's not so bad. But ultimately, at the end, he's going to have the resources he needs. He's going to have the support he needs. And it's going to be, the city and the state are going to come through the situation, and all the boroughs and cities around New York. I'm not ignoring anybody. You're going to get through this. They're going to come through. They're going to be wiser. They're going to be a little scarred, a little more empathetic, a lot more aware of the fragility of life and the importance of supporting one another and actually functioning like a community. because they certainly have shown in the last weeks that they have the chops to do that. You know, it's been very impressive, and it looks great on him, and it's really, really good for him, and it's going to be good for him, not only professionally, but just in his own person, you know, just for him. So, heck, that's good news. Let's look at Dr. Fauci. I don't know why that name is such a tangle in my head, but it is. So, let's take a look at him. Dr. Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci. You know, honestly, I got to do something with all these tongue twisters I keep creating for myself. Tell me about the good doctor. He is doing everything in his power to make sure that the truth gets out there, that fairness and equilibrium are upheld. He has no blinders on. He sees very, very clearly. And at this point in time, he is actually quite secure on his throne. I think that even Trump understands that doing anything to get rid of him would be disastrous, just simply from a PR perspective. Never mind, of course, the fact that he seems to be one of the few people that are actually holding the reins on this crazy situation. Okay, so he is able to bring clarity on calmness. He is another one, right? Who is bringing clarity and calmness. We turn to him. We want to listen to him because we know that he is going to tell us the truth. And that trust is going to continue to build as he talks you through this pandemic, right? He is going to be one of the voices of calmness and clarity. And ultimately, you're going to be able to trust what he says. And ultimately, the situation is going to move forward in a way that is, positive. He has the ability to keep people calm, and he, in his own way now, he has kind of like become celebrated, right? But his focus really is on science. It really is on patients and medicine. And honestly, his frustration levels are a wee little bit, I want to say, right through the roof. He is tired of this being an uphill battle. Every time he turns around, he has to correct the crazy, okay? It goes far beyond inconsistent or inaccurate. It's just outlandish, ridiculous statements. And this is tiring him. This is exhausting him. But he very much feels like this is his mission. This is what he has to get done. He needs to do what he's doing because that's simply what needs to be done. It's a very sort of cut and dry mind, right? Very like, this is a job. These are the steps to get it done. Get going. But he really does wish that his job was just even made the tiniest bit easier by people not saying things, or a person not saying things that are kind of foolish. And you know what? It's actually even not a person, right? Because we continue to see states where governors are not reacting, cities and towns where I guess people are, trying to be very casual about this. So there's still problems out there. There's still more than one person who seems to want to stay fixated on illusions. Speaking of illusions, let's take a little look at Trump. Donald J. Trump, Donald J. Trump, Donald J. Trump. Wow, there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of squabbling. His head is about to explode. He's getting frustrated by the fact that every time he says something and every time he wants to sort of spin and just reassure everybody that this is just a big boogeyman that's going to go away, the government, right, officials keep stepping in and correcting him. And that's going on behind the scenes to a very large degree. There's nothing that is going to frustrate Trump more than, one, being forced to stay in the White House, and two, not having people falling all over him. He is getting a lot of that ego stroking that he needs and requires by those little, I'm going to start, I think, referring to them as mini rallies, because that really, really is what he has sort of morphed what are supposed to be information, opportunities to pass on good, accurate information. He has turned it into a promotion of him and his nonsense. But trust me, there is a lot of pushback he's getting behind the scenes. He's getting frustrated because he wants to be able to just sell a story, right? He's never had to deal with realities. The way he deals with things is by sitting behind a desk and screaming, "Hey, you, take care of it. Make this happen. I want it done now." He doesn't actually have a process, right? He's just the big picture guy, I guess. Unfortunately, the picture that he is not only looking at but has created is so distorted, it really doesn't bear any resemblance to actual reality. There are definitely some relationships behind the scenes that have lost their sense of balance. He's getting pushback, I almost want to say, from places and people that he typically does not get it from. And so that has him a little, even a little bit more agitated. Keeps trying to figure out what to do with this. He keeps trying to figure out how to spin it. He wants it to go away. He doesn't want to be responsible for this. He doesn't want to have to make these hard decisions, because in his quietest moments, he actually really understands he is so woefully equipped to do this, but they are a moment. Right? For the most part, he stays in that headspace where he is right. He knows more than anybody. But again, what is happening is more and more he is having to face pushback, whether it is from senators, House members, whether it is from the opposition, whether it is from the media, and frankly, whether it is from the same very people who were on that stage with him. And I notice not keeping a 6 feet apart distance from each other. Well, and that's, look at, he's brought down the tower, okay? And this is a disaster, what is going on. And he is absolutely the one who is responsible for looking literally away from the truth, because the truth was inconvenient. And he didn't want that truth to be the reality. And so he, for your country, lost very important, vital time to move this thing forward in a way that was going to be productive and helpful to the people, because he just didn't want to hear the bad news. Right? He just didn't. It didn't matter. He wasn't going to hear it. And he really wants people to just deal with this themselves. That's why he keeps trying to push everything off on the states, as opposed to the country or his plate. He wants other people to deal with this disaster. And he really just wants to be the good news showman. And that's not working, because you can't hand out good news if you keep telling extraordinary, unbelievable, incomprehensible amounts of lies. Okay? Yeah, you can't. Nobody's going to listen to your nonsense, except the very few people who refuse to get their information from any other news organizations. Yeah. So for him, it's all about his emotions. It's all about him being happy. It's all about him looking good. It's all about him looking good. Remember that. It's always about his ego. It is always about his need to see himself in a much better light than is accurate. All right, let's take a look at Nancy Pelosi. See how she's doing. For anybody who questioned or doubted her strength, her political savvy, her will to get it done, I think that they have had their eyes opened. She has become really an extraordinary figure in this situation because she just quietly and gently just gets the hard work done. How's Nancy Pelosi doing? How's Nancy Pelosi doing? How's Nancy Pelosi doing? She's moving forward, man. She's just moving forward. You know, you see the way I put those cards in, and yet it's so interesting that, you know, kind of a lot of the cards keep coming up the same, except they have completely different meanings. It's really fascinating the way the messages come through using tarot cards. So she is moving forward. She's moving forward. That's what she's doing. Her and Chuck Schumer, same page. They are working very, very closely together. And frankly, he is working very tightly with his senators. She is working very tightly with the House. And they together are forming a very strong sort of place of power, and a lot of stuff that the Republicans thought that they could get away with because, you know, the Republicans, well, that didn't work out so well when some of their very Republicans who denied that there was anything going on in the country are now sick with it, and they're in isolation, and oh, so guess what? They couldn't vote, and so on and so forth. We all saw that picture unfold. So she continues to work very hard and very quietly behind the scenes. She is absolutely determined that she, to the best of her ability, savvy, and know-how, is going to keep reins on what is going on. She is going to stay on top of money going out. There's going to be a whole lot more oversight coming. But again, you're in for a precarious position in the United States, right? Because it is devastating and traumatic and bewildering what is going on in the United States right now. So there are going to be times where even she is going to have to hold the truth in front of her like a sword, literally, to cut through the crap. But she is also able, because she can chew and walk gum, she can chew and walk at the same time. That was funny. And more importantly, she can do 2 or 3 other things at the same time with that. She is a master multitasker. And so even when it appears that she's gone quiet, or even when it appears that she's kind of receded a little bit and is not kind of out front and center, trust me, she's on the job. She's doing her level best. And man alive, she is keeping tabs on the Trump administration. And this is part of it, okay? She is so profoundly sad. She is just devastated to see what has become of her beloved country under the Republicans and the Republican rule. She can't believe it. She had enough with what was going on the last 4 years with Barack Obama, but I don't think even in her wildest imagination could she have imagined the devastation, destruction, the incompetence that has gone on with this president, and by extension, you know, the Republican Party, they are so willing to feed the illusions that it is really sad for her. She suffers from a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety. Send her good thoughts, send her good prayers. Help shore up her strength, mental, physical, spiritual, because this is incredibly hard for her. And it's hard for her, like emotionally, right? She worries, she's stressed, and she's trying so hard to keep things balanced and fair. And she realizes that she's actually working with a nest of vipers. So send her good and positive energy and thoughts, but she's going to come out of this, okay? She really is. Don't worry about her. She's not going to fail, and she's not going to fall. She is going to keep on pushing forward and doing absolutely everything that needs to be done. But this has been a very difficult time and experience for her. And I'm talking about the last 3.5 years, okay? It's not something that was just in the last week or two that got her upset. All right. But look, in the cut, there she is. Strong as ever. Okay. Let's take a look at that Dr. Birx. I don't know what her story is. I don't even know what she's a doctor of or why she's continually on that stage. But what I can't figure out the other day, and I heard an excerpt because honestly, I can't watch those mini rallies. I really can't. But there was this little excerpt of her saying words that were incomprehensible to me. She was saying, there is not one report of one hospital that does not have the ventilators they need. What planet are you living on? Like, what kind of a report is it you're looking for? Have you not been paying attention? I don't get her story. I don't quite know what she's about. And maybe that's a good thing because I will, hopefully get some clarity as I throw some cards for her. I don't even know her middle name or her first name. I literally know nothing about her. Dr. Birx story. Dr. Birx story. Dr. Birx story. She is before I flipped over the cards, I kept hearing the words like wealthy Republican. So she's a wealthy Republican. She has a lot of money behind her. She has status behind her, but she very definitely, I want to almost say, unfortunately, toes the party line. She has sort of bought into, she sort of bought into the idea that somehow the Trump administration has to be protected from the disaster that they created. Somehow she got it in her head that the truth could be handed out a little bit at a time because it would serve the administration better. And that's unfortunately going to not serve her very well. What you're going to have, I want to say literally in the next week, 2 weeks, you're going to find a lot of people taking some of the things that she says to task. Okay, this is not falling on deaf ears when she spews nonsense like that. And so the people are going to start pushing back against what she says and how she says it, and really pushing back against, the kind of that's what it is about her. She's dismissive, right? I'm saying I haven't heard a report, so therefore it is not. That kind of attitude is not going to play well. It's not going to work well. And ultimately, there's going to be a bit of a price that she's going to end up paying for this. It's interesting that I keep looking at this Four of Swords. It very definitely looks like her fortunes may definitely become reversed a little bit. And I don't wish illness on anybody, but I definitely see a little bit of a retreat or her pulling back or what she says becoming very short and sweet, quite compressed, because she's trying to figure out how to stay on this incredibly slippery slope she is, right? She doesn't really want to anger Trump, but she, has enough brains and power, savvy to understand that she can't lie. You can't tell these kind of mistruths in this kind of a situation. So she feels like she is really, really having a hard time walking the path that she is currently on. But as for right now, she really does still continue to sort of have this feeling or these thoughts that it is important for her to kind of buffer. That's the word I'm getting. She wants to kind of buffer the president. She wants to sort of buffer the administration. She wants to make it easier for them. She wants to make it less difficult. And I think the last one we're going to look at is Mitch McConnell. Amy McGrath apparently is doing quite well in Kentucky. Apparently the stats in Kentucky show McConnell he's the second most disliked senator in the country. McGrath is doing, I guess, very well with her fundraising. And again, I think even, staunch Kentuckians, I think even people who were, really solid Republicans are kind of looking at some of the nonsense that was going on and going, that's not really what our country should be about. And make no mistake, I'm not suggesting that all Republicans feel that way, because there's a whole lot of, rich Republicans, let me say it that way, who are more than thrilled with kind of, what they were trying to do and the bill that they were trying to get through until it got stopped and balanced. So what's the story with Mitch McConnell? Let's find out here. How's Mitch doing? How's Mitch doing? How's Mitch doing? Well, he's feeling a little battered and bruised. He's feeling a little defensive. Oh my. He's really, there is a sense that behind the scenes, when he is not out in, public, he's getting a lot of pushback. He's really, really having to defend himself. He is getting messages from, this is interesting because I'm seeing that he is getting reports from Kentucky. And whether that is on his popularity or whether that is how people think he is handling this situation, but the reports are making him very defensive. So obviously they're not good news. He keeps hoping that he can spin things around and take this back to another place and time. And what he's not realizing is when he was so busy focusing on what he wanted and his spin and the stories he was telling, that he really made some massive blunders, and there is still investigations going on about him and his wife. There is still stuff going on, and he's trying to live in two worlds, right? He's trying to convince the people of Kentucky that he is he's all in it for them, right? And then he's trying to convince Trump that he'll do whatever it takes to keep Trump in power, keep Trump in office. So he's sort of juggling two balls that are just disintegrating. Like literally the picture I'm getting in my head is, rubber balls, how when they got old enough and you bounce them on the cement long enough, they would start to like crack. The whatever was covering the plastic would sort of start to crack. And if they got old enough and disintegrated enough, you could actually start picking pieces off the ball. Like literally parts of the ball would start coming apart. Well, that's what's going to happen to poor old Mitch. Yeah, this looks like this could very well be Amy McGrath McGarth, whatever her name is, you know who I'm talking about. She's going to bring him heartbreak. Well, and to that I say, could not have happened to a better or more deserving person. Okay. So this is the thing, right? It's getting really hard out there. The news is bad. Things are stressful. It's getting more and more scary because the numbers are escalating really, really fast. Stay aware of what is going on. I mean, stay tuned in, especially so that you know what new things are being enacted by your own governments, so that you're not informed, okay? Keep yourself safe. For all of you who can self-isolate, minimize the amount of time that you're out and about. Just keep yourself safe physically and nurture yourself mentally, okay? Take care. Be well. Bye for now.